Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Colleagues, the historical tapestry of the Panama Canal embodies many of the factors that continue to drive the world today. Among these are migration by persons seeking economic opportunities that are denied them in their homelands for various reasons. The difficult conditions, including racism, that migrants face even while they take on jobs that locals will not do for wages locals would not accept, and treatment that is inhumane even in death. These elements are as important as the engineering prowess of the United States in the construction of the Panama Canal. Despite the considerable sums of money spent and recouped by the United States on this monumental project, it would not have been achieved without the sweat, blood, perseverance, and lives of West Indians, whose pivotal role no one should forget. And for those whose geography is older than mine, the West Indies, of course, is what in large part now comprises the CARICOM group in this organization. Now, building the Panama Canal also involved between 1913 and 1916 the dismantling of Panamanian towns and the expulsion of 40,000 people, mostly black, by the U.S. company that ran the canal zone, practically as a sovereign state, imposing the existing segregationist policies in the United States at the time. As the title of Marixo Lasso's powerful book states, those people were simply erased. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were difficult economic times in the Caribbean, pushing many to seek employment overseas. The employment opportunities presented by the construction of the canal became a beacon of hope for thousands of West Indians. Many were enticed with hollow promises, and some even sold their meager belongings, banking on the hope that the canal offered. An estimated 150,000 to 200,000 West Indians arrived in the canal zone between 1904 and 1914, the period with which this presentation is concerned. While many of them, especially from Barbados and Jamaica, were recruited by agents of the Isthmian Canal Commission, which was established by the U.S. government to oversee the construction of the canal, many paid their own way. For instance, persons from Antigua and Dominica paid their own passages or went to the French island of Martinique to be contracted by the agent of the canal who operated there. However, upon their arrival in the canal zone, many found not a dream, but a terrible reality. Just imagine the tropical heat, laden with humidity, as workers dug deep into the earth, facing the peril of landslides. Malaria and yellow fever were rampant, and medical facilities for them were often inadequate, leading to countless untimely deaths. Yet West Indian men and women labored at every hazardous task. These tasks included being lowered each day into a concrete cylinder sunk 75 feet below the murky waters of the harbor, being suspended 70 feet into the air as they riveted lock gates from which many fell to their deaths. Unimaginably, carrying 50-pound boxes of dynamite on their heads to shift 3 tons of coal each night, and setting fire to those dynamite charges and running like hell for their lives before the chains of explosions started. However, in official records, their contributions were often unmentioned. As one authoritative researcher described it, and I quote him, "Official visitors could not help but be amazed, even astounded, at the degree to which the entire system of the Panama Canal, not simply the construction, depended on black labor. There were not only thousands of West Indians down amid the turmoil of the Culebra Cut or at the lock sites, but black waiters in every hotel, black stevedores, teamsters, porters, hospital orderlies, cooks, laundresses, nursemaids, janitors, delivery boys, coachmen, icemen, garbage men, yardsmen, mail clerks, police, plumbers, house painters, and grave diggers. Yet no official notice would ever be paid to their contribution. In the official journal of Zone Life, the Canal Record, the black employee went unrecognized except in death, and then only in one line, with his name, his country of origin, along with a tag number, as if he were not quite human. The construction of the canal and the establishment of the canal zone by the United States Controlling Company was guided by an ideology of racism, directed first at native Panamanians who were dispelled from land they occupied and developed for 400 years, and then toward West Indian workers on the canal's construction. In the canal zone, silver became the new black. The terms gold and silver were used in the canal zone as classifications for white workers and black workers. The classifications determined wages and every aspect of a worker's life, from housing to recreational facilities. The system was deeply entrenched in racial discrimination. Workers on the gold payroll received higher wages. Payment was made in gold coins. These were the white workers. Black workers were paid less, using silver coins. In housing, for gold workers, residences were often spacious, well-constructed houses or apartments with modern amenities. They were located in areas with better sanitation, infrastructure, and proximity to work and leisure areas. By comparison, silver workers lived in overcrowded barracks or labor camps. The housing lacked basic amenities, and sanitation facilities were limited. As for health facilities, gold workers had access to the best medical facilities and doctors. And while silver workers received medical care, it was often limited, leading to disparities in health outcomes between the two groups. The gold and silver rolls were not just economic classifications, they were also racial barriers. West Indian workers on the silver roll faced daily discrimination, from verbal abuse to physical violence. They were treated as inferior and often subjected to dehumanizing treatment. The gold and silver system is a stark representation of the deeply ingrained racial prejudice of the early 20th century in the United States. It serves as a reminder of the broader societal structures of racism and colonialism that affected every aspect of life and regrettably lingers in some countries today. Black women face the worst of neglect and stigmatization. A United States-led anti-prostitution campaign falsely branded Afro-Caribbean women residing in the Republic of Panama as prostitutes. This stereotype stripped all black women of their dignity and disregarded their invaluable contribution to the canal's construction. Indeed, West Indian women were pillars of strength and resilience, providing essential support by cooking, laundering, and nursing, and also by their labor in the construction process itself. The records do not accurately reflect how many West Indians were severely injured or died while working on the canal, but research reveals that in relation to Barbados alone, 5,893 persons died, mainly from disease, landslides, explosions, and machinery accidents. One person who was injured in a work-related incident, losing a leg, was an Antiguan. His name was Zephaniah Richards. He was number 1096. He arrived in the canal on March 27, 1907, aboard the SS Solent. He left around 1915 after his serious leg injury, and he returned to Antigua. From his Panama money, he invested in a small business and educated his two sons. His great-grandson is today the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, proving the point that race and poverty are not determinants for accomplishment and capability. Today, the Panama Canal stands tall as an engineering marvel. Many monuments and plaques commemorate the engineering feats and political achievements embodied in the canal. But the tales of its construction are intertwined with the story of hope, despair, dreams, sacrifices, and above all, the undying spirit of the West Indian laborers. Still, the stories of West Indian laborers are conspicuously absent. So today, as we commemorate the marvel of the Panama Canal, it's crucial to remember that it wasn't built solely on the back of engineering brilliance, but also on the sweat, blood, and tears of West Indian men and women. They are not mere footnotes in history. They are the backbone of the Panama Canal's narrative. It is time that the Panama Canal Authority establish an appropriate permanent tribute to their contribution, and I call for this to be done without delay. As we celebrate today the 1977 Torrijos-Carter Treaties, which transferred control of the canal from the United States to Panama, let us also remember and celebrate the silver men and women without whom this marvel would have remained a distant dream. The silver relationship between West Indians and the American-run Panama Canal is a strong foundation for building a gold, cultural, and economic relationship now and in the future between the sovereign state of Panama and the sovereign nations of CARICOM, if for nothing else but to honor those West Indians who toiled and died so that the Panama Canal could exist for the benefit of the world. Thank you.